to hear what it's about, and thank you
All
for
right.
being here and sharing this space.
Very good. Very good. You're certainly welcome. And it's great to have you here. Um, so I'm going to try and do some sort of formal uh, starting of this video recording so that people can get a sense of continuity and being fully included. So here we go. Ah, this is the official start of First Saturday here on July 1st, and in here on the west coast of the USA. It is Saturday, July 1, and it's 9:35 in the morning. So, for many people who will watch this, you will be watching it at whatever time and day you've chosen to watch the recording. I love that you're doing that because it gives you a sense of what these gatherings are as they begin, because this is just the second one that's been offered. And I absolutely am committed to doing these on a regular basis throughout this year and beyond, hopefully. And it's meant to be a, a kind of a multi-purpose get together. This is a chance for people who've never heard about living resilience or the podcast, which is called The Poetry of Predicament, which is a YouTube channel, which I hope folks who haven't heard of that will now go check it out and possibly subscribe to that. And perhaps most importantly these days, it is a place where those who have chosen to sign up for free in the Living Resilience, what I call a community space. It's a Mighty Networks platform where people can come together and there can be the use of a private social media or communication method, which I vastly prefer. I'm not a big fan of the big social media platforms. I've just always felt kind of creepy there. So perhaps that's of interest to you. I'm also aware that there are people who have been around for a while and have already taken advantage of some of the online offerings that we have in that community space. There are events that we do with thought leaders speaking about various aspects of human caused collapse of both Earth systems and human systems. And there are also a growing number of online both recordings only excuse me recordings only courses that we offer. And there are also coming soon the live online version of those courses, in addition to eventually live in person work, which is what I am used to after 4 decades of working in the training and coaching and personal development world. Um, and I am Dean Walker, the guy who put all this stuff together. And I'll be your host for the next, I don't know, roughly 50 minutes. And I'm hoping to do a couple of the more embodied, actually feelable, shareable, experienceable together activities that we often do in the average gathering of, whether it be the community of practice, which is kind of the ongoing, very experiential team of people who get together for chunks of time. Some have been involved for years and some for just a few weeks and so on. And the idea is to sit in circle together and support each other. And I'm just noticing that Robert has joined us. and his audio is not quite up yet. In any case, this community of practice is one of the more extensive and obviously experiential offerings that we provide here. And that is for me the most deeply fulfilling, because we can sit in circle together, and while it'll be more, it's likely that what's the most important to you and what are the skills and capacities that you would be working on would be different than my own. But we can sit in a circle and we can be of immense service to one another, to hold space for the often difficult or challenging work that it is to expand our capacity to be present in the face of larger and larger stressors in this world. I'd like to finish this little, I'm right now just describing some of the things we offer, and I'd like to finish up this description part by mentioning that I'm very excited in the month of July. I'm not quite sure when, but you'll be, if you've signed up for the community space, you'll be the first to know, or the newsletter that we do off the website. You'll be one of the first to know that we are offering an entirely new and revamped, rewritten, redesigned introductory course meant to serve people who are both new to the collapse aware and collapse acceptant conversations and communities, and also for people who've been around quite a while. I'm feeling very pleased and honored to be at this level of creation, because things are changing ridiculously fast in this collapse aware and collapse acceptant space. There are elements that are coming faster and more intensely than I have seen in my roughly 10 years now, including writing the book, The Impossible Conversation, and releasing that in 2017 and so on. Things are happening really fast now and a really intense way. And we've named this new version of our introductory work Collateral Beauty. And why we call it that is that I wish I could tell you that there was something really great and hopeful and inspiring going on at the global scale. But what I just mentioned about the acceleration and intensification of so many of our global predicaments, both the human systems and the earth systems, there's not much good news to be had at this point. And yet what I keep discovering out of the core of this work, which has always been committed to fueling ourselves in this extraordinary time by reaching into that which is the greatest shared inner resource that I've been able to articulate. And it's certainly nothing that I've discovered. I've only discovered my own access to this extraordinary inner and outer resource, which I call the implicit. And this implicit could be said to be in the same ballpark, if not the same thing, as what all the wisdom traditions have talked about forever, and poets. We happen to have a poet on this call, and I'm so pleased you're here to join us, and I'm hoping to articulate your version of what I like to call the implicit, that which is the love, the unity consciousness, the interbeing, the exquisite ineffable that is behind all of our human experience. But it's been elusive for much of humanity. Most of humanity will be lucky to have a few drops on their tongue of this exquisite love, this exquisite background fabric that makes up what it is to be alive. And so that has always been at the core of my offering in this living resilience work. And I've just really taken off the gloves. I'm no longer diplomatic about it. I just say, this is really the core. This is what I most want to offer because this is what matters to me most. And for those people who resonate with it, well, then bless you. Come on in and enjoy. And if you have a different focus and you have a different leaning, then this might not be for you. But come on in and find out and get your toe in the water. And we'll be doing some of those things today to be able to give us a sense of that permeable boundary between daily life for the vast majority of people, which is extraordinarily challenging right now for many, many people. And this ineffable, remarkable, universal resource that we can also choose to have access to. That's a tiny, perhaps odd description of that new name for the new introductory course we have for this body of work, Collateral Beauty. So a couple other things about this body of work and that collateral beauty stuff. One thing I've discovered over my going on 10 years now of offering this kind of work, this kind of context setting, hopefully a little bit of sense making of what's going on in this crazy world, is I've discovered that it really doesn't help to add a whole lot more content to the conversation. Instead of having what in my book took up a half of a 300-page book was about the content of what's going on, what I call the sober data. And it isn't to say that we don't talk about that stuff here or it's not important. It is, and we do. But we do it in a minimal fashion. And we provide links and resources, abundant links and resources. So people who want a deep dive into climate change or into species loss or into collapse of human systems or food production and on the list goes, those links are there. Those resources are available. So we won't be spending a whole lot of time on that, doom scrolling, that sort of thing. We've also found that it really helps if we get into our body as soon as we can when we get together and during our day when we're away from our little circles where we can share time and space together. It's really great to have embodied practices. So I'm about to shift into one of those from a learning group, a teaching group, and a couple of folks that I've been connected with one way or another for decades now. There's a group that has at its core their physical practices are based on a martial art called Aikido, and it is exquisite. It's an exquisite, gorgeous martial art. And it is the promotion of like a poetics in motion. So that's what drew me to it years and years ago, and it draws me to include it in this body of work, even though this is not a martial arts-based practice. This body of work, we bring it in as artful a way as we possibly can. So I'd like to ask you to actually, first, I'd like to welcome you, Robert. It's great to have you here. I don't know if your mic is on or if you're able to respond, but it's great to have you here, man.
Yeah, I'm just, I thought it was like 1 o'clock, so I'm just getting myself presentable here.
Okay.
And I'll get on video, just so you know. So,
That's okay, man. You can have your camera on or camera off, whatever you'd like. It's great to hear your voice. And you've obviously been hearing some of the description of this body of work and where it stands now. And these monthly meetings are just one of a number of ways that I'm trying to invite folks who haven't done any of the face-to-face stuff yet, or little of it, so that they can get a sense of what it's like and some information about the various offerings and so on.
yeah, well, I'm soaking it all in, really.
Oh,
So,
okay,
I'm very
great,
appreciating it. So it's, and I
Great.
thank you for doing this. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you doing this work, and
great.
it's really where it's at. But it's a reflection. I mean, there's so few people kind of doing it. So
Yeah.
that's why we're here.
Yeah. Well, very good. And I noticed that Eleanor has
Hi.
also come in. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Yeah, I had an opportunity to get a ride to the local farmers market this
Yeah.
morning. That's why I'm late.
All right. Well, Eleanor, I just covered a lot of the ground that you heard about last time in our first Saturday. So it's good to see you here for the second one. And we're just about to shift gears into a centering exercise. So you're welcome to do this exercise in sitting down. If you'd like to, you're totally welcome to do that. And if you have the space and interest to do so, you can also do it standing. So I'll be doing it sitting, but you could just stand up in a space where either off screen or on screen, doesn't matter, as long as you can just hear my voice, and we can all do this centering exercise for the next few minutes.
Okay.
And the dog can join us as well if you'd like.
Okay.
All right.
I left him home in his crate when I went to the market, so he's all over me now.
All right. Well, good. Take care of the guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're just going to start it out. And I notice for myself, I'm just starting by, I take a deep breath, and I notice I haven't taken a full breath in the past 5 to 10 minutes. I can't remember the last full breath I took. Been too much talking. So I'm taking a nice, slow, full breath here. And I'm just kind of getting my body used to that. And I'm just going to continue that full, easy breath, nothing forced, just nice and full. If I do one thing that seems to help the rest of my body relax as well, is I'll take that nice, full, easy breath in, and I'll release it slowly. And I do it slowly by pursing my lips a little bit, just almost as if I'm going to whistle. It has that slow down effect for my whole system and help me relax. So I would invite you to just take 3 nice full breaths and slow exhales. Let's do that together for the next moment or two. Okay. I noticed just the natural reaction to those slow breaths. My face relaxed a little bit. My eyes softened a little bit, the focus of my eyes. And so I'm going to ask us to create more of a sphere around us. And we're going to do that one part at a time. And let's start with the up and down. So imagining that we're going to be expanding up through the top of our head and down through the bottoms of our rear end and or our feet. And so what I'm doing, it's interesting. My arms want to flop down to my sides as soon as I start to do this. And I'm just telling you about what naturally happens for me, and just see what your body's reaction is when it does that, when we start to expand this sphere of our presence and sphere of our centering. So I'm, with each breath now, I'm imagining an extension of energy going out through the top of my head, up through the ceiling of the room I'm in and beyond. And I'm also noticing, with the next exhale, I'm noticing the extension of my energy and presence down through my rear end, through the chair, and through my feet into the ground, right through the floor of the room I'm in. A nice, full, easy breath. And then both of those just continue to expand up out of the top of my head and down through the bottom of my body. And now I'm raising my arms out gently to my sides a bit, and my hands like to just expand out. My hands are kind of expanded like that. And I'm gently holding my arms out to my sides. And I'm expanding my presence and my field out to each side, like the top and bottom expanded out. Now both right and left sides are expanding out, as if I were filling out now what's starting to turn into a sphere. Top and bottom, and now right and left are expanding out. And just as I said that, I noticed that my particular field expanded out beyond the walls of this room I'm in, to the right and left. And I noticed I've been having more shallow breathing for just the last minute or so. So I'm just slowing down my pacing again and my breath again, inviting you to do the same if that feels like it would be good for you. So now we have that third and final direction, if you will, and that is for our front and back. Remembering that we've got our extension out through the tops of our heads and down through our feet or rear end. We've got it extending out to the right and left, starting to actually look like a sphere. And now with front and back, it truly starts to have that full feeling of a sphere, all the way up above us, below us, to the sides. And now I fully presence to behind me. I'm actually swinging my arms gently and slowly behind me to just help my felt sense of the field behind me, that part of the sphere that's there behind. And with the next full, easy, slow breath, I'm bringing my presence and my awareness, and now my arms starting to just indicate the presence going out in front of me. It really is making the entire sphere complete. Above, below, sides, front, and back. And now, just like a fine tuning, I'm bringing my hand to just below my belly button. And I'm just letting my hand rest there. It's a cue to where my actual physical center is in this sphere. This is my center. Taking a couple of breaths and allowing the breath and my attention to go down to that hand. Yeah. Taking a moment to notice what it's like to be fully present to your physical center, and also to presence, to get a felt sense of and notice what the full sphere of your attention all around you, what that feels like. Beautiful. And now, if you are comfortable doing so, you can start to bring your attention back to this screen where we are together. If you happen to be standing up, you can bring yourself back to sitting with us. And if you're ready to do so, you can also bring your attention back to the faces on the screen. Yeah. Including your own. This was just a very simple centering exercise, one of many that we do in our get-togethers for whatever the purpose of a get-together would be. This is a pretty good way to start things out, to get us more present in our bodies. I'm wondering if anybody would have anything to share about how, kind of a before and after, what you're noticing about your own body, your own center, what you're noticing about your thoughts or your breath. Is there anything that anyone would like to share?
I feel a lot more relaxed
Mm,
and settled than I did,
yeah,
than I have all morning, really.
great. Thank you. Me too.
Yeah. That's a nice image from Robert.
Yeah, I was noticing
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry
Like,
about
is
that.
that
Trying to get my real face on. I hit that button.
like, is
Sorry.
that how you feel after this exercise?
That's totally great. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very, very, really, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was on. Yeah, very, oh, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, it was, no, it was wonderful. And I could feel like that energy, almost like the sun in the other photo. Yeah, so very good. I'm going to try to get my real face on. So
Okay, thank you.
I don't know why this is showing backwards. All right. Okay.
And
Okay, so I'll stop talking.
Okay, and Tanya, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I feel more relaxed. I mean, I'm getting quite sleepy because it's later here because
Yeah.
you know I'm on the other side of the world. That's why I'm in the dark here because I don't like to put on lights before my bedtime, otherwise I get too woke. I wake up too much.
I hear you.
So I felt relaxed and but also able to let go of a lot of emotional thoughts that I had buzzing around in my head today. So
Yeah.
so finally I felt more present with my body and less with my feeling thought stuff, which is always
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate you being here at an awkward time. What sounds like it's not a usual time for you to be up and around like that. So it's good to have you here, and
it's
thank
not
you.
that late, but it's
Oh,
just that
okay.
I'm you know, I mean it's like 9 o'clock at night here. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not too crazy.
Right on.
Where are you, Tanya? You don't have to
I,
tell me, I'm just curious.
no, I'm in Mauritius.
Oh,
Mauritius is an island in the Indian Ocean. It's sort of like it's a little dot between Africa and India,
oh,
closer to Africa. Madagascar
Mhm.
is the biggest, you know, land mass close by to Mauritius. Yeah.
do you live there?
Yeah, I do. I'm half Mauritian. My mom's Mauritian. Yeah.
Oh, I know
So
so little about the world. Oh, dear.
All right. Well, I'd like to, since we have at least one declared poet on the screen today, I'd like to go down that track. Robert, and actually I think Eleanor as well. I think you came in after I was introducing the name of our newly redesigned introductory course. And of course, all of the resources that we provide and courses we do, and even the podcast is for supporting the collapse aware and collapse acceptant communities. And, one of the things that I've seen over time is that we can get pretty locked in. It can happen that we get, some of us can get pretty addicted to, or at least driven by, doom scrolling, trying to
Mm.
stay up with all the bad news that's going on in the world, because there's plenty of it. And what I've found in my own practices, and then what I'm often trying to create here in terms of support resources, is a way of having us access what are the inner and outer resources that we can contact that can remind us that we are still day by day, week by week, and so on, in these miraculous bodies, living this miraculous life. So yes, we can have some really daunting predicaments out in front of us, or that we're in the middle of. But my assertion is, and again, what I'm trying to focus on in my own practices, and then secondarily in what I offer here, is how can we also stay connected with the miraculous, that which is so beautiful, it's often called ineffable, unspeakable. There's no way to actually name it. It's so immense. It's so beyond our ability to put into words. That, I believe, is one of the great challenges that someone who takes on poetry, that can be particularly difficult, because many poets bring us very challenging things to put into words. I'd like to invite all of us to look at what are some of the precious inner or outer resources that you bring to your life to remind you of something other than the doom scrolling, something other than the predicaments that we're in. So I'm wondering if that sparks any of you to share what are your resources that you'd be willing to tell us a little bit about.
Well, for me, I have my little dog here. He's my constant companion. And of course, I've had him for 10 years now. And through COVID, it was so nice for me to have him because I seldom saw anybody else
Yeah.
to actually get together with, So that's a big important thing to me. He hears the gate opening. My daughter's coming home. That's why he's barking. Sorry about that. And the other thing that really I appreciate so much, and it just, I don't even have words to describe it, because my daughter and son-in-law have provided a very nice place for me to live right on the same property that they are on. So they look in on me, they make sure I'm doing okay, and find out if I need anything, or I can drive around. It's in a whole different other part of town, so it's not a familiar part of town to me. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'm a little anxious about driving places because I'm not sure I'll find my way.
Yeah.
In fact,
Well,
yeah.
Eleanor, what I'm hearing you say is that the first thing you were describing is just how precious having a pet, having a dog or cat or some other kind of pet that you just really love unreservedly. That's one of the things that I've found having a dog now for the first time in my life for the past few years. He's become one of the most precious expressions of love in my life ongoingly. He's just amazing.
Yeah.
And then I'm also hearing sounds like you have an extraordinary kind of support that you have from your own family members.
Yeah.
Where they've set up a place for you to be able to live, and you can stay as connected as you want to be, but you can also have your own space. That's exquisite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to hear if Robert or Tanya, if either of you would like to share anything about the inner or outer resources that really help you cope with the level of ambient predicament that we're all in here.
Yeah, well, I'll share. I suppose it's and I'm sorry I cannot get my face on the screen until right now. Well, as you pose the question, I had said to myself, it's one of the things that I really need to keep focusing on to be grateful for and appreciate, because I couldn't answer off the cuff, kind of, as Eleanor was speaking about family and things to appreciate. And I know I have many resources, inner and outer. I'm not saying my life is, like a real full life, but what's there is pretty good. And but I haven't felt it lately, and so I've really been challenged lately of just wanting to be here in this time, and do I want to be here in this future, and kind of reoccurrence of some despair and such. So so it's a little, yeah. So I it's and then have to figure out, answer that question, do I want to be here? And
Yeah.
so I don't mean on this call. I mean, so that, that made me want to be on this call. But so I don't know. I got an idea today that was pretty exciting. So I'm kind of excited about. So some interest that I won't get in. So, but I mean, I have a son who I suppose I'm not speaking to as much now, and my parents are gone, and I have some siblings, but only, but there's trouble there too, you know, dysfunction. And so I don't know. I'm not feeling as connected as kind of
Yeah.
to everything. Although I did get a dog, and recently looks a lot like Eleanor's dog.
All right.
And so that in
Yeah.
order to connect, you know, this love and
Yeah.
affection, and you know, I take them to the dog parks, and you know, so that kind of brings me into the moment, and makes everything okay, I guess. So I guess when I'm there, I'm not feeling like I was just sharing. So but I finally broke down and got a dog. So, and now
Yeah.
I'm working out how to go live still with a dog and do other things, you know, like go
Yeah.
away and things. So thank you.
Yeah. Robert, thanks for, excuse me, thank you for just really being so straight with us, you know, and sharing so personally. Yeah, I guess, you know, given the work you do, and, you know, you're
Mhm.
very aware in this world, uh, you're not alone,
Mhm.
even though it can absolutely feel that way. And um, you've been around this work and this little community one way or another for quite a while. And I do want you to know you're always warmly welcome to, you know, either connect with me and we can look at what sort of resources might be available here in
Mhm.
this little community or elsewhere.
Mhm.
And I just really appreciate you sharing that way, because it's, um, in my experience, this is a lonely community to be a part of, to be in the collapse
Yeah.
aware community, that things aren't looking good. And
Mhm.
people really don't want to hear about it for the most part. And that can bring on a whole lot of loneliness. So that's my experience anyway, my interpretation. So again, thank you.
If I could share one
Yeah.
brief thing, and that's it. I'm just finding myself lately withdrawing, like saying like troubled relationships with family and such, where I feel like, okay, I don't, maybe where there's been lack of honesty or something, where I just feel like, okay, I don't know how much time I have. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know that, you know, not seeing them for the rest of my life may not be that long or
Yeah.
something. So there's something where I'm withdrawing, saying I don't want to be part of this human race anymore. And I'm not so enthralled with humanity and its or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so, and but realizing that, hey, seeing not, you know, do I need these folks the rest of my life? Now that could be just a temporary thing, and sometimes there's the hermetic spiritual path too, where you're withdrawing in
Mhm.
order to you know, get in contact with your own spirituality and the things that you were speaking of at the beginning of the call, the
Yeah.
beautiful things in life. So
Through
all
that,
right, thank you.
yeah, there comes a time when we, you know, can really start to make sense why sometimes this path is called a warrior path, as there's the level of integrity to our core, to what matters most to us, that could
Mhm.
be called like a clarity of purpose. Again, if in this
Mhm.
context called a warrior's path, and there is very little space in the warrior path
Mhm.
for relationships or for elements of daily life that just don't fit with that
Mhm.
sense of integrity. So
Mhm.
again, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you bringing that up.
Yes, thank you. That you hit it on the head with
Yeah,
the sense of integrity. I just can't do the faking anymore. It's a
yeah,
waste of time.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Tanya, did you want to share anything about resources or
Yeah, I
poetry
mean,
or anything?
yeah, I mean, I kind of fluctuate between feeling ecstatic and and I think that's also because in the face of, it's kind of like I was born knowing that something wasn't right with this whole
Mhm.
system. And I remember as a child saying, why wasn't I born when there weren't cars and there were just horses? You know? It was like, um, and I just like really, and so now finally there's a part of me that's ecstatic because I'm like, finally it's obvious and it's getting more and more obvious
Mhm.
to everybody else and not just me, you know?
Mhm.
So, so I feel less lonely in a way at the moment. Not necessarily with everyday life, but I feel that, and maybe it's also because of the studies I'm doing, and also as a poet, I have lots of weird, wacky friends like me, you know. So, so we're all kind of, a bit kooky compared to the average, you know, corporate or whatever thing.
Mhm.
Um, and so I have that, and the resources are varied that actually give me that sense of joy in the face of pain and frustration and anger and
Mhm.
despair even at times. Um, and yeah, I have two rescue dogs since recently, and they they're hard work sometimes, but they just give me so much love.
Mhm.
Um, and also relationship. I have a great partner who's away at the moment, so I'm kind of on a like retreat because he's had to go back to his family for a while. Um, and so, but knowing that he's in my life and that he also thinks like me helps me a lot, so I don't feel like I'm totally crazy. Because in other ways, I hear you, Robert, because I've also kind of been like, if I didn't have to earn my bread and butter every once in a while, I would just not even work anymore because
Mhm.
not because I'm lazy, but because I just don't want to contribute to the system.
Mm.
Um, I'm in a degrowth process. Um,
Mm.
so I try and have less and less, and the less I have, that's another resource. It's weird. Like in a way, I've been letting go of a lot of stuff for the last 10, 12 years. And with COVID, I lost all my work and everything. And then that actually became a great resource,
Mm.
um, in and then now I've got I'm self-employed, so but I try and keep it to the minimum. So I'd rather have less stuff and more time. Uh, and and I know that that's a very privileged space to be in, that some people don't have that privilege that I have, So I'm not in any way speaking like, you know, um, everybody's got to do that because some people have big families to feed, etc., which, is not my case. Um, but so that, and then nature. I mean, nature on one hand is something that just makes me so sad because it's just being, and nature I consider, myself to be part of nature. So just like a lot of humans are really messed up, so is the whole stuff around us. Um, in front of my home, I live on a paradise island, but there's a lot of shit going on as well, geopolitically. People don't know it. It's like a fiscal paradise. A lot of pollution. For example, we had floods at the beginning of the year, and I've now got like, this weird seaweed growing in front of my house because I live on the sea. And I know that it's just invading and taking everything over because of stuff that's being poured into it from the canals. And at the same time, I've got a beautiful, reef and island, but the reef is like, destroyed. So it's like this mix of feeling incredible gratitude for the beauty that is around me, the birds and I mean, it's very lush, it's tropical, it's gorgeous. And at the same time, seeing that it destroyed. So I think for me, it depends, not even on a daily basis, but on an hourly basis, what resource I can pull at
Mhm.
and recenter myself with. You know?
Mm, mhm,
I don't know. I hope that wasn't too
mm,
rambling.
yeah,
No, that
mm,
was absolutely right on. Everyone's sharing. Thank you very much for it. That's, actually, this grouping of people right here and your responses, our responses together, is pretty decent amount of resources that have just been shared up. And also some pretty straightforward expression of what you're grappling with in the world, what's going on that shows up for you as part of the challenge. I have an idea for this kind of this last chunk of time together. What I'd like to do, it's a weird idea, but I'd like to invite us to listen to a song together. And it's a song by a couple of people who are, they're a couple and they know each other really well. And I find them to be remarkably resourced from within. In other words, their hearts are wide open. And it's not out of being naive or stupid to be unprotected in this world, kind of a thing. They are really aware of what's going on in the world. And yet they have this raw, vulnerable, humble way of expressing their love moment by moment in this little song that they're singing. So I'd like to suggest that we could actually, this could be a meditation for us in the audience, if you will. Because I find that I start rocking with the music. I'm sitting in my chair and I'm rocking to it, and I'm just singing. And what I'm most appreciating is I don't feel sung to. I don't feel entertained. I feel loved, and I feel motivated in myself to just be as real and as open-hearted as these two people are. So I don't want to force feed y'all my reactions. I'm curious how you will respond. So with your permission, I'd like to ask us to kind of bask in this lovely song, this lovely offering from these two people. And I'd be very curious to hear if you are moved, if there's anything that's sparked in your system, if you will, by watching this particular song. So any questions or concerns or comments before? It's about 5 minutes long, approximately. Okay.
This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. I am Abigail, and this is Sean, and we're so glad that you've turned this on.
and welcomed us into your home, and you are welcome into our home. We're in Dayton, Ohio. We're in Sean's parents' house.
My parents' house.
Sean's parents' house. We were in Louisville when the shit hit, and we packed our 3-year-old into a car. We drove kind of far. We drove here, and we've been so lucky and blessed to be safely here. And we thought we'd be here for like 10 days, tops.
What did we know?
What did we know?
What
What did we know? We thought we knew a lot. We thought we knew a lot.
Keep going,
Woo!
keep going on.
Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. And we've been mostly healthy. We've been okay. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? I hope your body is whole tonight. And if your heart is breaking, I hope it's breaking open. And if your breath is shaking, I hope it's shaking through. And I hope that you've watched a lot of really great television, like a lot of it. And I hope that you find a hand lotion that actually makes your skin feel better. And I hope that you have enough to eat. I hope you're getting enough sleep, and I hope you have enough good company or enough good memory to last you a long time. Keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. We sing the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. Let's bring some joy into the room, why not? We can try it, or some rage, and some grief and relief. Ooh, I hold my rage, I pray my rage is a fire that cleans my mind out and makes me ready to listen. I pray my pain is a river that flows to the ocean that connects my pain to yours. And I pray my happiness is like pollen that flies to you and pollinates your joy. Oh boy, is that possible? I don't know, we are making this up as we go. We have to make it up as we go. The keep going song, the keep going song. Oh, we're making it up as we go. Keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. And I pray that when we meet again, that the world has changed into the world that we are imagining now together. And I pray that the world has become the world that we're planting inside of ourselves for each other and for our ancestors and for our kids. Ooh, and we're gonna start. This is a rough beginning. That's all I've got is a rough beginning to offer you. We're gonna start by singing some songs in this tiny space together. We're just gonna sing some songs for you, and we hope that when you hear them, you will feel a little bit less alone, and we will feel a little bit less alone in the work and in the hurt, and we will be together tonight somehow, whenever this is, wherever this is. We will be together tonight for the keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going. going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going on. Keep going on.
Wow. Thank you.
Is there anything that any of you would like to share out of what you experienced with their name is the Bengsons? And yeah, anything that you'd like to share out of that?
Well, she was a real person.
Yes.
I could feel that she meant it, and like she was talking to me.
Yeah.
For me, it felt kind of like a meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I found myself thinking of who I could share it with.
Yeah. That's I'd be more than happy to if you can put your email address in the chat here, if that's something it's easy for you to do, I'd be willing to send you the link to that song on YouTube, and because it's available anytime.
Okay.
Is there anything, Tanya, for you?
Yeah, no, I thought it was just like it made me feel really touched, and
Mhm.
at some I had shivers, and
Yeah.
at other I had like tears coming, and then at other times I just felt like I was grinning. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that that ability of them to just feel and therefore make others feel. It's through their feeling that I think other people such as myself are able to feel. And that's kind of what humans are supposed to be about.
Yeah.
So I was also thinking of the irony that it's it's like special, but it should be normal.
Yeah. I guess to just wrap up our time together, I wanted to share something that means a tremendous amount to me. I would invite you to come check out some of the little special interest pockets of that Living Resilience community space. I can include the link to that if that's something that's, again, easy for you to do. You could take it off the chat here. Why I mean, there's a bunch of reasons why I'd love to have you come just check stuff out, but there are a couple of other longer pieces from that couple that I would like to invite you to just dive into. If that was inspiring for you, there's a full-on interview with the woman from that couple, and it's all about approaching grief. And one part of this body of work that I particularly hold in my heart, it's been very important to me, is learning how to move through grief in a good way. First, how to just see it as an important, normal, and nourishing and important part of a human life. And so it is a big part of what we do here. How to metabolize grief in our system, so that, for me, was one of the there were two major steps for me with grief. One was to remember, or just to find out, that it was normal and good to experience grief in my system, in my life, when the waves wanted to come, to be able to open to them. The second big step for me around that was to learn to grieve with others. That's in some cultures, that's just the way they do it, and it's vocal, and it's engaged, and it's on a regular basis, and it's no big deal. Everybody just comes together and they just know what to do, and they just do it, and it's messy, and it's loud, and it's quiet, and it's tears, and it's laughter, and it's everything. And there's such a juicy element of that in the longer interview that you'll find, particularly in the grief, kind of like little grief pocket of that living resilience community space. Let me just check in. Do y'all, if you're interested, do you have access to that space already? Do you know how to get there, or do you need the link?
I would need a link. I don't have any idea.
Great, I'll put it in
I might. So
I'll put it in the chat right now.
That would be, it's probably going to be quite helpful for me. I'm expecting anyway. I lost a son very recently, a few months ago, my middle child.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard. It's really
Yes.
hard. What I see is that I really neglected him. The older, there's the oldest, and there's the youngest, and then there's the one in the middle. And I don't know. It's just been really hard. I feel like I missed out a lot because I didn't get really involved with a lot, and I didn't appreciate him enough. And
Mhm.
this month now, he was cremated, and my daughter has his ashes, and she's doing all the planning. We're having a celebration of his life in a place. It's an outdoor wild place down by the Spokane River, and we've invited just family and that lives near enough to come, and close friends. And I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but I think maybe this thing that you're sending me might be helpful.
Eleanor, you're more than welcome to send me an email that we might be able to connect that in a more specific way. If there's specific desires that you have for, I'm a part of a grief support organization here in Southern Oregon that offers support for people around the world, because so much of it happens on Zoom now.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of the organizations like that I could connect you with, or we could talk about some of the support offerings in the Living Resilience neighborhood. So, feel free to check it out. And anybody who's got a question, would like to just find out about resources, or, just compare notes about stuff, feel free to send me an email. There's also that first link that you're seeing there is the one that ends with mn.co. That's the what I call the community space. And that's the place where I'm suggesting just scroll around and you'll see there's a grief kind of pocket.
Sorry.
And you'll find right up visible
Yeah.
that interview that I'm talking about. So that's probably enough connection with stuff if you'd like to find out more. I so appreciate that y'all have taken the time to connect up with one of these first Saturday gatherings that I'm intending to keep them coming, and and might expand it to more, depending on what the desire is from the community. And please know that we also have the late night, which, or not late night, the early evening here on the West Coast, but would be middle of the night for you, Tanya. Our Safe Circle groups on Tuesday evenings are always available. And there's more information about that on the website as well. So as we close up this particular time, I'm wondering if I could ask you to check out. You know, it would be like a way of kind of completing our time together. And if you would say something about what you're left with after our time together and the various things we've talked about and shared. And I'm happy to just start out to give you a sample of what I'm asking us to do. Again, my name is Dean, and I'm from Southern Oregon, and I put together this living resilience stuff, and I really never know who's going to show up on one of these get-togethers. And I feel really blessed. This has been very warming, heartwarming for me to be with you all this time. And Tanya, it was really a pleasure to meet you for the first time this time, and I hope there's be a chance to see you again at some point in one of these things we do. And I'm left with there's just a preciousness and a realness that those are a couple of words that I heard us talk about with particularly the song. That's really what's at the core of doing this work. Is I want to find the most loving and authentic and just real connections with people to get through these times. That's what this work is about. So I have felt plenty of that today, and I've really enjoyed myself. Is there anybody else who would like to check out and share what you're landing with?
Yeah, I'll check out just that kind of what I was realizing of, sharing's what I shared today, that it can be a lonely place, like lonely within lonely. You can start out lonely and then come to feel this. But then once you're in it, you can't talk to anybody about it, because then they become responsible. If later, you're not around or something, then it's like, hey, they're going to go, hey, or if I voice resentments or things, then they'll feel blamed. So it's a very hard ethical quandary of how to leave without harming anybody. Not
Yeah.
that I have any, immediate intentions. I'm not impulsive like that. It'd have to be like a long-term plan or something, so, but I don't have any plans. So, but I did come up with an idea though, that last night was I'll just say, yeah. So I don't know, I left with very grateful, but I came up with an idea. This is, I wasn't afraid of dying anymore. I could live more fully. And I figured out a way I thought of that last night, is since I don't have this fear of death, then there may be a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't do. And then I looked up all the most dangerous, interesting, fun hobbies, and they weren't dangerous enough. And I was thinking, hey, I could do all this stuff because they really weren't dangerous. Very small. So it's like, hey, I've been opened up when you I guess when you detach, right? When you from grasping, then all of a sudden, you're not afraid to do things. So that may save me.
Yeah. Sounds like a large dose of let go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have something I'm excited about, a hobby now. So that I'm going to check out tomorrow.
Right. Thank you.
That's a beautiful hobby. So thank you, Jane, and everybody.
Tanya or Eleanor, would you like to check out?
Okay, if Tanya's gonna wait, I guess I'll try and check out.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a lonely place to be, to know what we know. It's very lonely, but you can't talk about it with other people, with people that don't know, because of you just can't. I mean, I couldn't bear to explain to my daughter and her lovely husband what's coming in the future and what the prognosis is. I feel, in a way, I feel like I'm lucky because I'm so old. You know,
Mm.
I'm 87 now.
Mm.
Mhm.
How much longer will I may miss all the worst of things.
Yeah.
But I've had a community. It's an online Zoom community for quite some time where we discuss all of it. You probably are aware of the Guy McPherson
Uh-huh. Sure.
group. Yeah, and Pauline, and
Mhm.
that's been a tremendous support for me, because we can talk, and we can talk about anything. But then at the same time, it is hard on people. And I've seen 3 suicides happen already
Mhm.
out of that group.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard in that way. But I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying what I have left and what I'm involved in. I better end my sharing now.
Thank
And
you so much, Eleanor. I really appreciate, and I love seeing you now for 2 out of 2 of our first Saturday gatherings. I hope to see you next time as well. Thank you.
Okay.
And Tanya, was there anything you'd like to check out with?
I just wanted to thank you all for, for being here and for sharing your stories and your knowledge and ideas and feelings. I appreciate them all. I think when I check out, I just want to say that for me, I mean, I'm not sure what the term collapse means for you guys because I'm new to this,
Yeah.
but for me, if a world is collapsing, it doesn't mean that everything is collapsing or every form of,
Mhm.
and so I think that, um, that's really important to hold
Yeah.
the space of infinite possibilities. Not I'm not talking about like fake like oh, it's all going to be perfect and
Sure.
somebody's going to save our butts at the last minute in a very easy way. No, I'm not, but I'm saying that just like not knowing is a powerful tool.
Yes.
um and I think that we need to not know. We don't know.
Yeah.
So
It's a
maybe it's good to wait around to see. Who
okay.
knows?
And we can keep going on.
Exactly, because you don't know.
That's right. Well, again, I just thank you all for sharing of yourselves and taking this time to be a part of this little gathering. Would like to invite you to come dip a toe in the water of the various things we have going on in this living resilience stuff. And it's just been delightful. I feel very relaxed and open to head into my day. So thank you all very, very much.
thank you, Dean. And by the way, this is actually my deck in the background. So, I mean, I'm not there right
Nice.
now, but this is what I get to enjoy of nature every
Holy
day.
Not
moly,
bad.
that's gorgeous.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
be a-
where where are
Island paradise
where are you, Robert?
in Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania. Back close to where I grew up. New
Yeah,
Jersey.
so
Yeah.
it's-
Thank you
Very
all.
thank you, everybody. Yeah, thanks, team. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of The Poetry of Predicament. This podcast is produced by Dean Walker and the Living Resilience Alliance. Living Resilience exists to offer transformative support and resources to the collapse-aware and collapse-acceptant communities around the world. Our sole purpose is to curate and offer coaching, support groups, courses, and events that assist people in expanding their core skills, competencies, and capacities for facing a troubled, predicament-laden, yet still ineffably miraculous world.